One of the greatest challenges I faced as a young girl who grew up without the love of a father was limerence. Now, limerence is an involuntary romantic obsession over someone with an overwhelming need for that feeling to be reciprocated. And it is very common among people who were rejected or neglected in their childhood. If you were also molested in your childhood, the chances are you will also struggle with limerence. And these obsessions operate differently amongst individuals. For someone, you find yourself only attracted to older men. For another person, you'll be attracted to the same sex. Yeah. For another person, it will just be a matter of fantasies. Everything is in your head. You just meet somebody, you keep fantasizing, and you don't desire anything like a relationship. For another person, your fantasy is towards people you've never met. Maybe like superstars, you see them on TV, on social media, and sometimes you get even jealous over people you've never met. And your obsession can be short term or long term. For some people, it can just last for a few months. For another set of people, it can go on for like 3 years. And this is where someone can mistakenly think about it as love. But the difference between limerence and true love is the fact that limerence has an expiration date. Yeah, no matter how strong, how intense those feelings are towards that particular person, you will eventually die off after some time, whether the feelings are reciprocated or not. So it would always begin with me meeting someone I'm attracted to, and before I know it, obsessive thoughts. It's almost like my thinking system is being hijacked by that person in that moment. I find myself constantly thinking about them day in, day out. I'm overwhelmed with fantasies of how my life would be with them around me, and my world suddenly feels so empty. Like there's something that they carry that is supposed to fill me up and just complement my life and just make my life so complete. And sometimes anxiety will creep in, depression will creep in. And when I noticed that it was beginning to damage my mental, physical, and emotional health, I knew that I had to put an end to it. So it led me to start doing some research. I went online and I was researching about obsession, about relationships, and so on. The most common thing that I noticed among most of the articles, if not all the articles that I clicked on, was the no contact rule. With the no contact rule, they will tell you to stay away from the person you're obsessed over for a length of time. No contact, you don't text them, you don't call them, you stay away from places that you know that you will easily meet them. Like you literally just cut them off completely. And this was what I took, and I started working on it. And the truth is, it works, but it's a temporary fix. The obsession does not die, it just moves to the next person I'm attracted to, and to the next, and to the next. So it became obvious that my object of obsession wasn't the problem. I was actually the problem. And every time I was running away, I was cutting contact from someone, I was actually carrying the problem with me. And at this time, I had known about Christ, I had known about God, but I was just in between. I was just in between. I didn't really have a good relationship with God. But I remember one of those days, I was just having a hard time after I had left the relationship because it wasn't, I still felt empty in that relationship, and I was asking God, what is going on? I was just not like I was praying. I just sat on my own. I was like, God, what is happening to me? What's happening to my life? And for the first time, it was like I was having a conversation with someone invincible. And it was like, take an analysis of your life. And when I picked my pen, I started doing an analysis of my life. I noticed that the entire problem came from that rejection. The absence of my father had left some deficiencies with me. It left some unmet needs, and one of those needs was love. Not the love I was obsessed over, but rather the love of the one who rejected me. And just like me, the reason why many people turn to romantic relationship in order to meet this need is because these relationships have a facade of what you are actually looking for. They promise you love, but it's not the kind of love that your soul is yearning for. The love in romantic relationships is known as eros, while that between a parent and a child is known as storge. And neither of them can be replaced by the other. Neither of them can meet the need of the other. This is the reason why most often you will find out that these relationships will end sooner than later. This is the reason why limerence has an expiration date, because once that need is not being met, that obsession would wear off. It also brought me to the consciousness of the fact that I have been fighting the wrong demons. Obsession, romantic obsession, was not the problem. Rather, it was a solution that my mind had subconsciously given to a problem that was within me. So I'm saying this to say, if you're watching me right now and you've been struggling to cut off from romantic obsessions, either by following the no contact rule or by the say try to love yourself and all of those things, it's just like you have fungi and it's beginning to damage your skin, and all you do is apply something topical to it. Now it might be soothing for some time, but because you've not treated the fungi from the inside, it's just a matter of time. The fungi would keep showcasing itself over and over and over again until you go and address the fungi on the inside. It's the same thing with these obsessions. There is something within you that is placing a demand for these obsessions. There is a need for you to go down and search where the problem is coming from and address it. I know that getting back to your past and addressing the exact issue that has brought this problem into your life is very difficult. It has to awaken a lot of emotions, and sometimes a lot of us are not ready for it. You don't want to go back to feel the pain of the neglect, the insult, the beatings, and whatever it is, the molestation that you face in your childhood. But I want to say that is a part of your life that you cannot just throw away. It's a part of your life that you must go back, address it, make peace with it, and then hand it over to God so that He can actually help you break out from that obsession. There is literally no other way out of it. Now, somebody might be wondering, how can the rejection from my father actually affect me that much? The thing is, for a girl child, the importance of a father cannot be overemphasized. The love of a father to a girl child, to acceptance, appreciation, validation, affirmation, support, and rebukes, helps the young girl to transition into a queen conscious woman who is whole, who doesn't seek for external validation, whose love emanates from her inside. She knows who she is, whose she is, and what she stands for. But if you grew up without the love of your father, what this means is you didn't get any of this treatment. You didn't get the essentials that were needed for your growth. So now you are an adult who has grown but isn't grown up, because there's still a little girl on your inside that is screaming and searching for daddy's love and care. And unless this issue is being handled, this search will keep going on and on. You will always keep looking for love in all the men that will come in your life, hoping that you will find that little girl to princess treatment from them. But the truth is, you will never, never find your father in any man. It wasn't your fault that you were rejected or you were neglected. Your father was never there for you. Agreed. Even the obsession is involuntary. Agreed. But you must take responsibility for your life now. So you don't continue making the same errors that you've been making or continue living in this limbo. It's time for you to break out of it. And maybe as I'm talking right now, somebody's like, that's right, I need to get into counseling, I need to get into therapy. All of those are very, very important. As a matter of fact, you really should get into it. But I just want to say, counseling alone, therapy alone will not solve the problem. Therapy cannot meet up with the deficiencies that the absence of your father left in you. All of these things cannot heal the wounds of rejection and neglect that are hurting you so badly today. The best that counseling and therapy can actually give you are tools and strategies whose success are highly dependent on you. But what happens when the little girl on your inside becomes weak and vulnerable? What happens when you know what to do and you cannot find the strength to do it? I had been in that particular space a lot of times, so I already understood that that was not a path for me to trade. But just knowing it wasn't really enough for me to break out of it. It was when I started leaning on the strength of the one who is more stronger than me, the one who had the ability to quicken me in those vulnerable moments to do what is right. That was when my journey to healing began. And it's the same thing I'm telling you today. The only person who can actually help you is God. And I'm not saying this because I want to impose my beliefs on you, but I'm saying this because it's the actual reality. Whenever a product becomes faulty, it's only the manufacturer of that product that knows exactly what to do to bring that product back to the default setting without causing any further damages. He says he's the father to the fatherless, and those are not just mere words. I've experienced God as a father, and my father and daughter relationship with him has been my strength. Even for me to come out here and talk about this particular topic, it's because he has engraced me. Because on a normal day, I will not even talk about it since it has strands of my life in it. I was always so concerned about what do people say, what do people think. But I'm at a point where I don't really care. I've been out of it, and my only desire is to help other people get out of it by pointing them from where my help came from, and it came from the Lord. And the amazing thing about God is He doesn't condemn you or judge you for the errors that you have made. You are never too far gone or too dirty or too filthy for Him. So, if in the course of this obsession, maybe you wandered into adultery and fornication, maybe for someone you even had abortions in order to cover up your tracks, you got involved in lesbianism, maybe you have children out of wedlock, or you're a young girl out there, you are just going after older men from one man to the other, wrecking homes, and you've been in and out of several marriages. You've abandoned your family, your children, and you're in pursuit of these other men, and the guilt, the shame is on you, yet you don't know how to return. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16 says, "Let us therefore come boldly before the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and grace to help in time of need." And if you're watching this video right now, I just want to let you know that it's not by chance. There were several videos that you would have clicked on, but you actually clicked on this one. This is an invitation from God to you. He wants you to come back home. The porter wants to put you together again. I pray for anyone that is watching me right now who is seeking for healing, who is seeking for help. I pray that God in heaven will reach out to you and will heal you from the depths of your soul, that He will heal those wounds of rejection and neglect, those wounds of molestation, and take you to a totally new place where you are whole and complete, lacking nothing. In Jesus' name. Amen. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. God bless you.